So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at a game from Victory Point Games. Now this is obviously an older game. I believe, let's just check the date, he says, not being able to see it, 2013, I believe. So it's an older game. Victory Point Games doesn't really exist anymore, unfortunately, but they made a series of war games and solitaire games. And this one is about, obviously, the English Civil War. It's called Cruel Necessity. This is a solitaire game, and I was able to get a copy. It is unpunched and unplayed, so I wanted to just walk you through it. If you're interested in buying any Victory Point games on the second-hand market, this is the kind of product, this is typically what you're going to get if you're going for like the war games type of thing. So I wanted to show it, kind of open it up. So you've got on the back, this is a solitaire game, right? Solitaire suitable is one player only. Plays in about an hour per scenario, and it's an English Civil War game. So, it comes in a very traditional Victory Point Games pizza box. And this is Victory Point Games' little red pizza box. The gameplay's the thing. And it used to be, the strapline was the little game company that could. So we open up the pizza box, and inside we have all of our game components. So we have a bag here which has 2 decks of cards. We'll see if these are... Okay, a couple decks of cards, and we'll go through those here in just a second. And then we also have 1 red and 1 blue dice. Little d6s. We have a rule book, and the rules are 18 pages. That's scenarios. So rules-wise, we're looking at, let's see what these rules, that's an example of play. So 14 pages of rules. And some of their solitaire games come in a box that's literally half the size. Things like Zulus on the Ramparts, Ottoman Sunset, Habsburg Eclipse, those style games, the States of Siege ones, they come in a really small box. This one's one of the bigger ones that things like Napoleonic 20 came in. So you get this nice, it's actually a good sized rulebook as well. Everything's 3-columned, color illustrations of different cards and annotations. That's one thing about Victory Point Games. They like to annotate their rules. So you'll see there's lots of different bits highlighted, different colors, all mean different things. And it helps you to kind of find the important stuff, but you'll see a lot of stuff's highlighted and annotated, and when everything's highlighted and annotated, then nothing's highlighted and annotated. That's one complaint I've heard about their games. For me personally, I've never found it an issue. I think their rulebooks are very easy to digest. Usually they're chronological, and you just kind of read through it, especially for these solitaire games, because it's basically, this is how the game plays, and you just play through the rulebook once, and then you just play it all on your own. It's usually very, very simple to learn these, so we do have a number of rules on those. Nice kind of glossy artwork on the front. That's from the front cover. Okay, first, it's I guess the only play aid. This is double-sided, so we've got keywords and symbols, and so you'll find there's a lot of rulebooks boiled down. You read your rulebook once, and you should be able to play most of the game from this. And on the back of it, we have all of our different optional rules and bits and pieces on there, if we were so inclined. So these are all the actions that you can take. Success and failures. Siege of Oxford, little box there, and a sequence of play. So, in end effect, you're going to be able to play just off of this once you've played this once, maybe twice at most. Now comes the fun stuff. Do we have a... Oh, I don't know if we do. Okay. They used to come with a little napkin. Oh, we don't have one in here. That's okay. So this is the counter sheet. And you'll look, it's on the very thick ply board, and these are laser cut. So what that means is if you look, the printing on them is unbelievably detailed. If you look at just the portraits, the illustrations, the detail of the fonts, and the vividness of the colors, you just don't get that on regular inkjet printed counters. And these are dual-sided as well. And we're going to flip this over here. just look at how vivid those counters are, and the size, and the variety of shapes. I love Victory Point games. For this part alone, it's usually a very beautiful product, and it's very nice to have on your table and play. And when you've got a solo game, I really enjoy it when it looks nice, because it makes it more of a joy to play as well. So the thing that you'll notice is when we punch some of these, they do have some kind of edge nubs on the side of them. Let's get you in focus. Mostly that's not a big deal, but what is a big deal, and I don't know if we can see this, you'll see these black lines show up on my hand, and that's because these are laser cut, and they do have an amount of kind of soot and residue on them. So what you get is this very iconic burnt campfire smell, but you will also need to take a little napkin and or a paper towel and wipe the edges of each one of these counters and get those cleaned off. They used to include one, this may have had one at one point, this is secondhand, but they used to include a little napkin, a little, what do you call it? Yeah, a napkin to do that. And it was neat, and it's one of the little kind of eccentricities of wargaming and one of the joys. It's a fun little thing. You just clean up your little counters and then you get to play. It's really nice. And you get all this residue, you gotta wash your hands, but it smells great. So that's just something to note. That's something you will have to deal with. Now the rest of this, we've got 3 bifolds. Let's get the box out of the way. So the first bifold we have here, and these are single-sided. So this is the battle display. So this looks like we're going to get into, when we do battles, we're probably going to line up our units, and you can see here you've got the kind of the structure of line. So you have your muskets and pike here, and on the wings you've got your cavalry, we've got parliamentarians, we've got royalists, so roundheads and cavaliers. We have our sequence of play for when you actually do battles, the outcomes of the different battles, and then there's some holding boxes, both for the cards and for different pools of units as well. Again, it's nice, it's coloured, you know, it's red and blue, so I think everyone should be okay with that. I don't know if... I'm sure there's someone who's going to be colourblind to that, but it's not red and green, thank heavens. But, you know, you also get the detail, and again, I really liked Victory Point game stuff. The detail, just the illustrations of the background there, entirely unnecessary. But it's that kind of stuff that adds to me the immersion, the flavour of the game. And I particularly enjoy those aspects of it. So, this game, the board is actually 2 cards that you have to stick together. This is one of their older print titles, and it used to be that they would do reprints where the board was kind of MDF jigsaw pieces you put together, but this is one of the older ones where it's just 2 cards, so we'll get a plexi to put over the top of it. Let's get it all in the shot here so we can see. But this is the play space. It's not massive, so if you think about it, you'll have this, and you'll have that battle board, and that's pretty much it, because the cards go on the battle board, everything's going to be contained in a reasonably small space. So we have a picture of, well, what is now the United Kingdom of Great Britain, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland, but at the time was all a big hot mess of different nationalities, and this is the English Civil War. So we've got Scotland, we've got Ireland, we have England, and then some, this is obviously divided up into some loyalties and some factions down here. So, just looking at this, these remind me of that Play Aid bit from the Play Aid, the little siege bits here. So I don't know if those correspond, the way each one of those works. We got different siege numbers in these big cities like Edinburgh, Hull, Oxford, London, and Bristol. But basically we've got these different areas. We've got this yellow color-coded area. We have a red one, a blue one, and a green one. Draw pile, discard pile for one of the decks of cards there. Zeal points, that sounds cool. And then up here we have our forces of opposition and despair. So I'm not exactly sure how this is. And the forces of godly rule and republicanism. That's funny. So I would presume we're going to play as the king in this one, because this is a solitaire game. Just from the wording, we're godly and we're Republican, and the opposition are forces of opposition and despair. You don't want to play as the guys who represent despair, and it's obviously some propaganda there. But that's the game. It's really it's a beautiful product, and again, something I really like about Victory Point games. Let's take a quick look at these decks of cards. There's the two of them. I think some of these go together. What's interesting? Okay, we have let's fish these out. So we got these ones, and then these ones. Uh-oh. Prologue. Interesting. This looks like it's a little piece of intro history. And I'm not quite sure about that one. But so we have 1604 to 1653. So this is one of the, he says. Well, interesting. We have another card here. This is our Victory Point check. So that's a little play aid for those, I guess. These go over here. So this, I believe, is this deck right here that we're going to be drawing from. And this will tell you, so you get, first off, you get very nice history on these cards. But then you'll also get a series of events and things that'll trigger. Probably this is the enemy, just based on it being Ireland, Scotland. A lot of that's looks like enemy style stuff. So this is probably the AI deck. This is the stuff that's going to be happening to you. You have a draw pile and you'll be going through those. And this deck, it's actually a horizontal deck. So he says we've got some cards in here. It's all kind of a mess how these have come, so that's quite interesting. Alright, let's sort these out. Those are there. Okay. So I think... Oh, no. That was one there as well. So these are these horizontal ones. And again, very nice artwork on the back of it. I really appreciate games that do this. It's just, you know, we've got the opportunity, so why not? Why not make it look as good as we can? So this deck is going to be on this battle board at the top here in our battle events, draw pile and discard pile. And these, it's just cool that these are horizontal. And these are things like firing by fall on fire, level of mutinies, boy the battle poodle, London Regiment mutinies. So probably you go into battle and some guys mutiny, or you might get the high ground. Or there's some diversionary tactics that you can employ to give you an advantage, or someone has an advantage against you in battle. So, neat concepts. That's going to help keep the replay value up, because no two games are going to be the same, because each battle is going to have different events and different things that happen. And this AI deck is quite large. I don't quite know how many cards this is, but it's at least... I think it's at least 60 odd. Maybe it's probably about 60 cards, so you're going to get a lot of, I don't know, replay value. As if you shuffle those, you get some randomness in how the AI acts and plays out next time, unless maybe it's done in order. I'm not quite sure, but that's Cruel Necessity from Victory Point Games. Again, it's not really a game you can get a hold of brand new. I'd be impressed if your stores had it in, because it hasn't been made for 7 years and the company doesn't exist anymore. But if you can get it on the second-hand market, this is what you're getting in the box. So I will get this one played here very soon, and appreciate you guys tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.